All right, so what I would like to do is take you on a deep dive in all the features that are included into TensScores. So this is going to be a long video because I really want to make sure that you understand each and every little feature that is included in your subscription in a way that is going to help you best optimize your accounts. How I've decided to go about it is I've selected 3 accounts that need to be optimized, and I'm going to be discussing each of those 3 accounts from where they are to where they want to get. We start with the Holy Grail. This here is the dashboard that you see the first time that you log into TenScores, and what you're looking at is the account quality score. As you can see here, this is what you are trying to get to. Having an account quality score that is close to 10 out of 10 and having many campaigns and many ad groups that are in that range. This is an actual account from a customer, by the way. So hopefully I've blurred out all the sensitive information as you're watching this video. And all that is important is just to look at the results. So we have many ad groups that are in the 10 out of 10 quality score. This is the embodiment of TenScores. So what does that mean exactly? It means that the cost per clicks are being discounted and the acquisition costs as well. We have an infographic on the website that explains everything about quality score. So if you're here using TensScores, you already know about the importance of optimizing it and how it leads to lower cost per conversions and lower cost per clicks, okay? So the discount number is probably one of the most important numbers in TensScores because it tells you what is the impact of your good or bad quality scores and what's going to happen when you optimize it. So let's take a look at a bad account. So this is an account that has a 4.4 quality score. If we look at the penalty on the campaigns here, it's pretty much the opposite to what we are looking at in the other accounts. 40%, 36%. This is not good. So you know that you have a bad quality score in your account. You know that your campaigns and your clicks are being penalized. So what do you do? Where do you start? Now, you can see in TenScores the account quality score. It is an impression weighted quality score, meaning that we take the quality scores from the keyword level and bring it up to the accounts with an impression weighted system, meaning that keywords that have the most impressions get more weight into the calculation of the quality score. So for example, if any keyword that has 0 impression is not going to be counted in this weighted average. This weighted average is not only at the account level, but you will also see it at the campaign level and at the ad group level. So this way, you don't have to dig deep into your account to figure out which parts need to be optimized, to figure out how everything looks overall. You have the info right away. You also get a all-time penalty number. You can see some little metrics here, like the highest you've ever gotten since you started using TenScores, the lowest you've ever gotten since you started using TenScores, and the all-time change. So the overall change of your quality score since you started using TenScores, and the all-time penalty that pretty much tells you the amount of money that you've wasted, the amount of money that went to Google for a penalty on quality score. So this is money that could have been spent getting more clicks and conversions that instead was simply given freely to Google because the account is unoptimized. This is a pretty high number, so I hope you're like me and you'd rather convert that into customers instead of just giving it to Google for free. Now, once you know you have a problem, you would like to understand how to fix it. The first step is to understand how Google sees your quality score. There is a difference between how Google sees things and what you need to do to optimize them. What I mean here is the factors of quality scores. We all know them: ad relevance, landing page experience, expected CTR. So you have percentages that are brought up to the upper level and tell you what is the distribution of quality score on the factors that you see here. So red means below average, yellow average, and green above average. I hope the colors are pretty much self-explanatory. It's the same thing with the quality score here. If you're in the red, you're in really bad shape. Yellow is pretty average, and green is where you want to be. That's when you're not being penalized. Anything that is below 7, you're getting a penalty. So I've heard people say that a good quality score starts at 5. Don't believe in that. A good quality score starts at 7. Anything that is below 7 needs to be optimized. Anything that is above 7, you could optimize it further, but 7 isn't a good number to shoot for, and you don't really have to always go beyond that. So going to 9.5, that's the holy grail, but you can't always achieve it, and sometimes once you've gone to 7 out of 10, there might be other things in your account that you can do to optimize your cost of acquisitions and your conversion volumes. What I'm thinking of is we all have limited time. We all have 24 hours a day. So it might be better to work on your landing pages, work on your copy, work on many other things. So you don't always have to shoot for that 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. So what you see here in the factors, what represents the gray color is there are some keywords that haven't been awarded a quality score yet in your Google Ads account. So those keywords, you will be able to see them, and then we also show it this way you can see that there are some activity that is still missing. When a keyword doesn't have a quality score, usually it's because there's no data, meaning there is no impressions, there are no impressions, and there are no clicks. Now, in this particular case, how would I interpret this data? Where there is red is where the problems are, according to Google, when it comes to the factors at least. So in this case here, we have an expected CTR problem. So the click-through rate on this account is not that great. Landing page experience a bit and ad relevance a little bit less. Now, read the text here. It says, see how the factors of quality score are distributed. Keep in mind that they can be misleading in guiding you on how to optimize. What that means is you might look at case where, let's say, landing page experience shows the most red or ad relevance shows the most red, and you might think to yourself, oh, if I have a landing page experience problem here, I'm probably going to start working on my landing page and it's gonna improve things. In practice, that's not really how it's gonna work, and I've done a lot of testing, and I'm going to share a bit more about the theory and the practical side of things. But I just want you to understand now that there is a difference between what works in theory, what Google says are the problems in the account, and what works in practice, what is actually going to get you results. What gets results is one thing and one thing only. It is having above average click-through rates on your ads. So the only reason why this account is getting a 9.5 quality score is because of, let me take you to the first ad group, and I'm going to show it to you right now. You might have read one of my emails where I talk about the concept of a black swan. A black swan is an ad that is overwhelmingly dominant in click-through rates compared to every other advertiser with whom you're competing in the same ad auctions. I don't know if that's clear enough. That's something that a lot of people tend to forget or might not even understand quite well, is that you cannot look at your account and believe that you are working in a silo, you're alone just working on things. No, it's always in relation to everybody else that's competing with you. And ultimately, the quality score number is telling you that your CTR is either the same, higher, or below what other people are achieving for the same keywords in the same locations, and probably on the same device as well, but that's a longer story. So what I wanted to show you is this. This here is a black swan or a unicorn. Some people call them unicorn. One of our customers calls them a black unicorn, which I like. Let's call them black unicorn. This is a black unicorn. A 45% CTR is much higher and much better than a 13% CTR. This is exactly what is bringing this account to these levels of quality score. You may have seen this happen already because it's very easy to do on your brand terms. When you have a brand campaign, meaning you have your domain name or the name of your brand, and you create a brand campaign just around that name, you will see very high click-through rates, and those keywords will almost always have a 10 out of 10 quality score. The reason being that no other advertiser can have a better click-through rate than you on your own brand. Somebody's searching for your brand, they want to get to your website, they don't want to go to your advertiser website, so you will always have a better click-through rate. And so that's why those keywords always have a better quality score. And then on the flip side, you might know about competitor campaigns. You might have some competitor campaigns, meaning you are bidding on your competitors' brand names. That's the flip side. It is very hard to get a better click-through rate than your competitor when you're bidding on their own names. And those campaigns, you will find that they often have a poor quality score. And that's the only reason why. It's because of the CTR. It is not impossible to get a better CTR on your competitor brand names, but it's a real challenge that is not always worth battling on. That's a battlefield you might want to keep it for the end process. When you've optimized everything else, then you can actually try to optimize that battlefield. But you just have to understand those two things and understand what is going to make an account like this one get to the levels of 10 out of 10. What does that mean in terms of ad relevance, landing page experience, expected CTR? What it means, and I'm starting to believe this to be true more and more, the first thing, in order to get a good CTR, you first have to have good ad group structure, okay? I'm going to get into that. So ad group structure, that's the base, that's the foundation. If you don't have good structure, you can forget about getting a great CTR, because you cannot write an ad that is going to speak to two different people who are looking for two different things and write an ad that is going to speak both of them at the same time. So your structure must meet the intent of every searcher. So you only put keywords together that share the same search intent, and that's the base. Once you have good structure, then you work on your ad copy, and the structure improves ad relevance almost always. And then when you work on your ad copy, you're gonna get a better CTR, but the landing page experience as well is going to be better. So I just want to make sure that this is really well understood, because without understanding that concept about what quality score really is, there is no chance that you're going to be able to optimize it. And I've seen so many customers, I talk to them on the phone, they tell me, hey, I've been optimizing, it's not working, and I've been changing my landing page here, I've been doing this and that, I've been restructuring my campaigns over and over and over and over again, but I'm not getting results. Well, it's because you're focusing on the wrong thing. When you're not getting results, it's because you're focusing on the wrong thing. That's all. And the right thing to focus on is click-through rate. So I hope that is really engraved deep in your mind that that's how it works. So this account here, with everything that I've just said, let's take a look at how we will optimize it. So all the campaigns and all the ad groups, everything is ordered by priority when it comes to quality score, of course. So I'm not talking about all the other KPIs and all the other metrics. And at the end of this video, what I'm going to do is just explain to you a little bit why we have such a strong focus on quality score. It will be fun to know the story behind all this stuff. So this account, the first campaign, is the one that has the highest penalty in terms of dollars. It's the one that has wasted the most money. That's the reason why it's showing up at the top. And let's take a look at the data. 4.0 quality score. The click-through rate that you can see here is 3.2. That's not so good. It's red. And that's the main problem. So how do we get to a better click-through rate? The first question I would ask myself is, what will be the objective for this campaign in terms of click-through rate that would actually bring this account quality score up? What I'm going to do here, I'm going to look at the winning campaign. So as you can see, we have winners and we have losers. Okay, so the winners pretty much don't need to be optimized, so we put them in the on section, and then the losers need to be optimized, and those are the ones that we show you first and foremost. The winning campaign here has a quality score of 21%. So that can give you kind of an idea why this account is a little bit flailing. 3.2 versus 21%, there's a huge difference. Now, this campaign here, probably not a great example, because I believe it's a brand campaign, so 21% is quite high, but those are the kind of things that you need to shoot for, and the strategies that you're going to use. Usually what I tell customers is to try and double or triple the current click-through rate. So if this goes from 3, if you go to 6.5, let's say, or 7% CTR, this quality score is probably going to go to 7 very quickly. Now, if we go from 3% to something, let's say 9, 12, 15%, then the quality score is going to go close to 10 out of 10 very quickly. One thing that I always tell customers is to focus on one campaign, and even better, one ad group at a time. Not try to do everything at once. Don't try to optimize all your ad groups at once. You have to treat it like a surgery. Optimize one thing, understand what the problem is, and then once you've healed it, apply the remedy, the medicine to all your other campaigns. So if I was optimizing this particular account, I can see already here the problems in this campaign is the structure. I have too broad. I have 18 ad groups that are too broad. Too broad means we have too many broad matches. They don't have exact match equivalents. Remember that quality score is actually evaluated on exact match. So if you don't have exact match keywords in your ad groups, then you can't really optimize your campaigns because you don't know for which exact keyword you're actually optimizing for. That is in terms of structure. So it says that we have 29 unrelated ad groups. So let me just click on the campaigns by clicking on the headline. And okay, this is really bad. Can you see what's going on here? So we have, oh wow, we have so many ad groups with 1 out of 10 quality score. Now, these are converting ad groups, so it doesn't mean that they are bad. It just means that they need to be optimized much better. Let me take a look at the winners. We do have some winning ad groups as well. So obviously, the reason why I take a look at the winners is because I want to know what is my objective in terms of CTR. So can you see why these guys are winning here? They have a CTR that is 6%, 6%. That's great. As I said, 6, 7 is much better than 2, 3. That's why this campaign is failing, is because we have some ad groups with very low CTR numbers. Now, what I will do again is to focus on one ad group at a time. So we are at the campaign level, right beside your quality score. You can see what TenScores is telling you to do. It's telling you to restructure this entire campaign. When we have a campaign that has so many structure problems, 29 ad groups suspected to contain keywords of unrelated families. That means that some of the ad groups, the keywords are unrelated. Look at each keyword as if it was one individual person looking for one specific thing. So if you have 2 or 3 keywords together in an ad group, it has to be as if it was one person who was searching for the same thing in 3 different ways. That's what an ad group is. When you have multiple intents in one ad group, as I just said before, you can't write an ad that speaks to all of those intents. So we have a restructuring feature. You can do it at the campaign level or at the ad group level. I'm going to go to the ad group level. So I could restructure the entire campaign if I wanted to, but as I said, it's good to focus. So what I will do is go to one ad group, restructure it, see the results, and if I come back after a few days and I see that the simple fact of restructuring has improved dramatically my results, then I will restructure the entire campaign. If it doesn't produce massive results just by restructuring, then what I will do is work on the ad copies until I have fixed one ad group, and then I will start going to the other ones. So we can see here, this ad group doesn't have any structure problem. This one is already well structured. We see there are 2 keywords here. I won't tell you what it is, but they are very similar. And so the algorithm says that the ad group structure is great, but the ad CTR is low. And this has been going on for such a long time that the quality score dropped to 1 and everything is in red. When you have a 1 out of 10 quality score, you have to deeply take a look at the keywords, the ad, and the landing page and see whether there is any kind of misalignment. 10 years ago, when you had the landing page of 1, it usually meant that Google didn't like your landing page. So make sure you take a look at your landing page, especially the policies. So you make sure you gotta have a privacy policy if you're taking users' information, especially make sure you have your address somewhere on the page or in any of the links. So you just have to make sure that you followed all the guidelines for the landing page. And then if you're still at 1 out of 10, then it means that you might have a domain history problem where the click-through rate had been low for so long on that keyword that, okay, Google is like, you know what, I've been trying to give you a good score, but you haven't learned your lesson. So now I'm just going to slap you to the lowest score that you can have until you make a change. So you can actually hide the menus. The left menu is for the campaigns and the ad groups. If you want to have more data in your dashboard, you can just click here and you have more real estate and you can see more data when you do that. I would like to keep it open because I want to go to the campaign. So let's go to the campaign here. This is really a bad account. Let's go and start restructuring the entire campaign. You are presented with 3 structure types. The first one is the recommended one. The other ones, you really have to know what you're doing. And people who know what these are, they will understand it just by looking their names: single match type ad groups and single keyword ad groups, SCAGs for some. What I prefer is to go with the regular ad groups. What they do is, and I'm going to click next, is to put keywords in the same families of intent, as if you have to look at the keywords that are put together as if they are so similar, or actually they are so identical, that that person is actually looking for the exact same thing. So it's probably the best feature that we have in TenScores, because you won't find it anywhere else. And it's very critical that you do things in this way, because you're going to end up having really well structured ad groups. And depending on which market you're advertising on, if it's a very competitive market and everybody's already doing good things, then just restructuring is not going to be enough. You will need to really work on your ad copy. If you're not in a very competitive market and most people are just doing, rubbish, the simple fact of restructuring can give you instant result in some cases. So you just have to remember that. You first start with restructuring, see what happens, wait a couple of days. If nothing happens, then you work on your ads and you spend 90% of your time on your ads. So this is the new structure for this campaign. You can see all of these small boxes are ad groups, and the keywords are here in blue. You can see here beside the keywords you have some letters. They represent the match types. So we have exact, phrase, and modified. By default, any keyword that was found that didn't have an exact match equivalent, we add it by default automatically. That's like a requirement in order to optimize quality. And then in the settings, you can choose which match type you use. A lot of people don't use phrase match anymore because modified pretty much does the same thing. So you can apply the changes like this, and you will have essentially removed phrase match out of all your ad groups. Okay, so there we go. This is what it looks like now. You see, so the prefix here kind of changed, so I'm going to revert it back to what it was. You see here, on the ad group name, we add the prefix of TS. The reason being is because when you publish your new ad groups, the old one is going to be paused, or the old ones are going to be paused. The new ones will come with the prefix. You can change the prefix however you want, but the idea is that you'll be able to identify them very easily. Any change that you make via TensScores, you'll be able to see it immediately. And this way, if you want to revert back to your old ad groups, they will still be there. You just have to unpause and pause the other ones. If you don't want to use prefixes, you can absolutely remove them completely. So let's talk a little bit about the structure settings. The most important is the minimum affinity. What is it? I wouldn't advise you to touch this number, but for you to understand it, this way, if you ever come across a case where you're not very happy with the restructure, you can use it and test something different. What it is it's going to loosen up its strictness, if that's a word. It's going to be less or more strict about how it evaluates keywords, so that if you lower the number, you might have more keywords in an ad group, and it means it's just like, okay, you two guys, you are looking for the same thing, kind of, but I'm going to put you in the same ad group. Whereas if you are very strict, if you take it up higher, it's really going to be like, okay, I really want to make sure that my intent is as on point as possible. So the higher it is, the more strict it's going to be. And so the less keywords you will have per ad group. And if you go higher, you might end up with having one keyword per ad group, which is pretty much the SCAG structure. You just have one keyword per ad group and that's it. I mean, not always. You may have 10. You may go to 10 and still have like a couple of keywords in an ad group or not. So let me apply the changes. All right, so with an affinity of 10, this is what we get. As I said, we have single keyword ad groups. Actually, not quite. We still have some of them that ended up together, but we have much fewer keywords in each ad group, and we have many more ad groups. They just keep this number as default. 4 is good enough. There are just some really rare cases where you can see that maybe one ad group, you're not happy with how the structure is. Those are rare cases, really. And TensScores was designed in a way that you don't have to do too much of thinking, too much evaluation. You just click buttons. That's the idea behind the whole thing, is that we want you to get results without putting in too much effort. So the default settings that we have usually work in most cases. Sometimes, and that's again another rare thing, and this is something that we added because customers were asking for it. And mostly our more advanced customers who really know what they're doing, and agency owners very often, You can actually switch keywords around if you want. It's not drag and drop. You can drag and drop a keyword into one ad group. And I mean, we used to be drag and dropped. We had to change it a bit because drag and drop is not easy when you have so many ad groups. Imagine you have one keyword that you want to put in another ad group that is very low on the page, then it becomes a little bit cumbersome to do. So the way we did this is you select one keyword and then you decide what you want to do. So the keyword appears in this box here. You can select another one like this. Let me select this one, for example. So you can select the keywords that you want, and then they are going to appear in the box here. And then you decide what you want to do. So you can either move them to an ad group that you will select or create a new ad group. So this is pretty much self-explanatory. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I don't want you to actually be doing that, okay? So don't be moving keywords around too much. Maybe once out of 50 restructure. Most of the time you shouldn't be switching things around. Next, now what the tool does, it is automatically going to get the ads for each of these ad groups. And what it does is it takes the highest performing ad group that was associated with the keyword and puts it in the ad group. And then from that first ad that it's taken, it's going to create a dynamic keyword insertion version of it. And that's going to be the two ads in the two ad groups. Now, we recommend just 2 ads per ad group, not more. There are a lot of reasons behind it. The main one being that it makes your tests faster and it reduces the likelihood that you might get false positives, because the more ads you're testing, the more errors you might get, and it might falsify your optimizations pretty much. Google recommends 3 ads. 3 is fine, especially if you have a lot of traffic, but for most people 2 will be okay. Now you can edit the ads if you want. The ideal scenario here is that you will go on these ads and you will try to make them as relevant as you can for each of these keywords. However, that can be time consuming to do it here, especially in this interface. What I recommend you do is don't touch anything. Just keep these ads the way that they are. And you're going to save time, because doing this like this is, imagine you have to rewrite the ads of 100 ad groups. That's not going to be very efficient. So just click next and you get to the publishing phase. Just confirm and publish. We also have a export CSV feature if you use Google Ads Editor and you want to do some more things in the campaign before you publish it. So this is a nice to have if you want to, but it's much simpler to just confirm and publish. One question that a lot of agency owners ask me is, when I publish via TensScores, the changes in the Google Ads account, in my client account, is it going to show up as my name or is it going to show up as TensScores? What shows up is the email address that you connected your MCC with to TensScores. So it's not TensScores that's going to show up. It's going to show up as if it was you who did the work. And so don't worry about any kind of privacy issues. TensScores is going to stay in the background and you can continue. You can do your work. Obviously, if you have some TS prefixes, then you might want to change them. But your email that is going to show up. So in some campaigns, so this is a campaign that is using automated bidding, and so we don't have a step for the bids. But in campaigns that are using manual bidding, you will have an extra step for choosing a different bid. And I think I'm going to show that to you in another account. But for now, I'm just going to close this and get out of here. The reason why I'm not publishing the changes, by the way, it's because this is actually a client account that has been kind enough to let me use it as a demo, but I don't want to make any changes on his behalf. I hope he's watching this video as well and he knows that there's some work to be done. Now, what to expect when you have structured a campaign or an ad group? What's going to happen is your new ad groups are going to be reset to a quality score of, in TenScores, you will see it as a 6 out of 10, but in Google, there's just a dot, there's nothing at all. Once the data start coming in and you get clicks and impressions, one of 3 things is going to happen. Either 1, your quality score is going to increase, 2, your quality score is going to stay the same, or 3, it's going to decrease. We would like you to have a quality score that increases. It doesn't happen all the time. In most cases, your quality score is going to stay the same. In some very rare cases, the quality score decreases, and it's always because the ads were not matched to the keywords. The new ads were not closely matched to the new structure. So that's something that needs to be done. But in all cases, the result is going to be due to an increase in CTR or a decrease in CTR. So that's the only really factor that is going to make things improve. I don't know if I've said that enough times, but having good structure is the base. It can lead to immediate results. Sometimes it does not, but it sets you up for the next step. And the next step is working on your ads. How do you work on your ads? So remember when I was restructuring, I said that you needed to change the ads and make them as relevant as they can be to the keywords. And I said that it was not worthwhile to go through it in the restructuring interface, to just publish it as it is. The reason why is because your new ad groups are going to come in with clicks and with impressions and clicks and new data, and you're going to focus on the most important ad groups. Again, you're not going to be working on all the ad groups at once. You are going to pick the very few, the 80-20 rule, or I would rather go with the 90-10 rule, where you focus on the 10% that is responsible for 90% of the results. So you will pick one ad group, 2 if you're ambitious, or 3 if you're really, really ambitious, but just go with one and start working on the ad CTR. If you've been following our blog, you probably know that I talk a lot about how to improve CTR, and you can actually find some of the articles that I've written when you start creating new ads for your ad group. So let me show that to you actually. So you come here. So for example, I can see in this ad group, there are too many ads. So what I'm actually going to do, because I want to have more real estate on this screen, I'm going to get some more space, and then I'm going to look at what we have here. We have 2 expanded text ads. No, 1 expanded text ad, the others. Oh my god, no, there's so many ads here. There are really many ads here. TensScores is actually saying, so you can see here, ad CTR low. There is an alert here that says this ad group has too many ads. So it's like everything is diluting itself. A low CTR diluting a lower CTR. So this ad group can never get better with all of this. So what I will do, the first thing I will do in this ad group is look at the ad CTR and pause anything, all the low CTR ads. So we actually have 2 ad groups with low CTR. So here's what I will actually do. So I will just click, we'll select these 2 ads. Let me select this one, and then select this one, and then I will pause the selected ads. And right now, where they have gone to is in the paused section. You haven't paused ad section here. Open it, and this is where they have gone to. They have not yet been published to your AdWords account. Oh, it's actually asking me to publish the changes. So I'm just going to publish. So let me publish this. So here's what I would actually pause another one, but I want to show you the ad creation process. The ad creation process goes like this. So here is the form for creating your new ad. Right now it's blank, but I can fill it with any other ad that I have active here. So I can just select this ad, and it's going to fill the form with the data of the ad that I just selected. So this way I have something to start from. But I wanted to bring your attention to the articles that we have written about how to write great ads. Make sure you read them. One of the things that we're going to be releasing is some better help, actually an automated way to have your ads rotate themselves and even written automatically, but that's for some time in the future. Once you've written your ad, so this is a better place to work on your ads. It's much better here than in the restructuring tool. So you have your new ad, you save it, and then you publish it. When you have done the work, you've published your changes, and your new ads are getting data, you may already have actually gotten some notifications via email that tells you that some winners and losers have been found. When you get those email notifications, please pay attention to them and make sure you take a look at those winners, and please do pause the losers immediately, unless they have a conversion rate that might be worth letting them continue to run. So the notifications are about conversion rate losers and CTR losers. For quality score, the most important is the CTR losers. You have to pause those because they are going to be diluting your account and bringing it down. So when you have a losing ad and a winning ad, the losing ad is preventing the winner to pull your campaign up in quality score. So you have to pause the loser. Once you've paused the loser, you're going to try to write an ad that is even better than your current winner. I think I've spent quite some time here on the quality score side of things. I hope that you really understand what it's required to get a great quality score. So remember, what you're looking for is to come to a point where you have found an ad that is heavily dominant in performance when it comes to CTR, like this one here with a 45% CTR. So let's recap. We've talked about restructuring as being the first step in getting a great CTR, and then it being the step that sets you up for a better ad CTR. We have two sections for just those two things. So there is a list here you will find in your account. You will find the list with your structured tasks, and you will find the list with all your ad tasks. So that means you already know what you need to do in the account. You really understand all the data and you just want to get stuff done. Then you will go to your list of things to do and work on those. So here you can just start restructuring the campaigns. Let's say you've already gotten results and you just want to go through everything at once without having to look at the rest of the data, then you can go through there. And for the ads, you can also go through the ad tasks all in one interface. I want to show you a few more things about quality score that are important here. So you start optimizing. You want to know how things are going over time. Well, you come to the timeline. So you can see here this little icon here. It's a timeline, and you can find it at the account level, the campaign level, as well as the ad group level, even at the keyword level. So you can see here how things have been evolving. So let me go back to the really good account here, and I'm looking at an ad group. I would actually like to go to the account level and take a look at how this account has been evolving over time. So as you can see here, so it didn't start out that well. So it started out with the 6, so this is the default, so it doesn't count. But when data started coming in, the initial quality score was quite low, 4 out of 10. And very quickly, it went up. So that's because of the CTR. And then it's been going up ever since. You can see here 9. Now we're getting into the 9s. Now it's just hovering over, between 8 and 9, pretty much like 9. Now it's going up to 9.5. Very soon it will be at 10. This is an account that doesn't need any more work actually. It's just going to keep going up by itself because the CTR is so great. So you can look at the timeline and you can actually see some other data on the timeline. But what I like to do is just keep it as quality score and oftentimes first page bid. Because quality score and first page bids are very closely not just related. It's like a first page bid is precursor to good quality score. So oftentimes your first page bid will decrease before your quality score increases, and that will give you an indication of the direction that things are going in. And the average CPC gains come a little bit further down the road. Sometimes you might not even have an average CPC drop because quality score increase brings you into new auctions that may cost a little bit more money actually. But the way to prevent that is, if you really want your cost per click to decrease, then just reduce your bids. So you have a quality score that increases, well, you just reduce your bids and you will have a lower CPC. But if you're happy with the conversion that you're getting from your current CPCs, then there's no reason to decrease it because it comes with a lot more volume always. So the next thing that I wanted to show you in regards to quality score is the distribution here. You can see you have a distribution. This is like additional data that you don't always need, but it's nice to see like how many keywords are in their account and how they are distributed on the quality score scale. As you can see in this account, 75% are pretty much average, and then we have like 15% that are below average. That's not good. So it's a good thing to look at as you optimize, as you want more things to come up here in the screen, and the chart that you're looking for is something that looks like this. Not many keywords in this account, but it's good because it's a good focus. So as I say, especially for the small business owners, and we have a lot of them, I see them a lot. If you're managing your business account and you're the only one doing it, and you're not spending $50,000 a month on AdWords, you're only spending a couple of $1,000s, then you will be better off with as little keywords as possible. If you have a quality score problem, keep the keywords that are bringing you all the conversions, and for a time, forget everything else until you have fixed those ones. So of course, don't remove any keywords that is bringing you money, but focus on the ones that are sending you business and that need to be optimized. Focus is key. I can't stress that well enough. Now, there's another thing that I wanted to show you in regards to the timeline, is that when you're looking at a campaign or an ad group or even a keyword, you can see here there is a little button. Actually, so when you click on this here, it will show you on the timeline above the historical performance of what you just clicked, and you can see, there we go. So viewing timeline for the campaign. So there is a batch there that's telling you what you're looking at. There are also below the quality score, when you hover over the progress bar here, the small bar, you will see the factors that influence quality score. This way you don't always have to click through to look at the factors. You can just hover over the number and you can see what Google thinks of the quality score components. And in this particular case here, we have a lot of keywords that don't have any quality score. It means those keywords don't have any clicks and impressions. I talked about looking at 3 different accounts, and so far we've only looked at 2. Here's another account that has a really bad quality score. And this account, when you have such a poor score, it's probably 90% of the time is historical quality score problem. So the domain name, or even in the entire account, but usually the domain that has been advertised on with poor performance for such a long time that nothing has been done, Google isn't happy, quality score keeps on dropping, and then that's how we get to these levels. And it can be challenging to improve it because you will need to really have good performance and sustained performance to alleviate all the years or the month that you've been advertising with bad performance. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to take too much time. It's just going to be in regards to the performance that you get. So I actually have, there's another account that we have, and it's also had a domain history problem, but it got a CTR. CTR went from, I believe, 9% to 25% overnight, and within a few days, one particular ad group went from 3 out of 10 quality score to 10 out of 10. Okay, so if you really can increase your quality score, your click-through rate dramatically, your quality score is going to increase dramatically as well. So if you have an account that has really poor domain history and you're wondering what you need to do, a long time ago I used to create new domain names, even create new accounts when I was faced with such a problem. Nowadays I don't, because it's too much of a hassle and it's not worth the trouble. So what you just have to know is that with focus on the right thing, you will bring your account quality score up. So focus on the right things. So pick one ad group, focus on its ads, assuming the structure is good already, of course, and then focus on those ads until you see your quality score improve. It can take a while, it can take a lot of time. You might want to hire somebody if you don't have the skills to improve your ads, and that would be worthwhile. If you hire somebody, you can send them reading material on how to write good ad copy. But where I've seen people fail mostly when they write their ads, the first thing is, first, they don't test enough, and second, they are not testing the right things. They're testing the same thing over and over and over again. So first of all, you have to test enough. So you really have to test a lot. Like, it's not rare that you have to go through 50 different ad variations on one single ad group to find your winning. So you really have to understand that it takes a lot of time, a lot of testing. And the biggest sin is to not test anything and to leave your ad groups just run without testing new ads. And then you have to test the right things. That means your messages have to really differ from one another. Sometimes you can get big gains with small tweaks, like a small word, maybe removing some things from the ad. But that's a topic for another time. And if you're reading our blog, you're subscribed to the newsletter, I keep on talking about the ads. I believe that's it. So, what's next? Well, next is working on your keywords. So I'm going to move over to the keyword management area. Let's talk about keyword management. And before I get into it, I will tell a little bit of the story behind this particular feature. So, keyword management. The reason why we built this section is because long time ago, when we started helping people optimize their quality score, we noticed that they had bigger problems in their account, and that is the keywords that were siphoning their budget, and they needed to do something about it before they even took care of their quality score. So that's why we built this section here. And what it does is pretty much show you what your keywords are doing, so that you know if they are actually helping you, and you can spot any keywords that is not doing the right thing and helping you reach your objectives. You may have read an article that I wrote about keyword management, where I say that you should manage them like they were your employees. So if they're not working, you should fire them, and the ones that are working, you should be promoting them. And that's pretty much what this feature does. The first thing you will see is your total spend on currently active keywords. So any keyword that is active, this is how much you've spent on them all time. Okay, so you can't change the date range yet. That's something that we will build, but it's not there yet. We show you what currently active keywords, what they've spent, and the percentage of that amount that was justified and the percentage that was unjustified, meaning that they didn't lead to a conversion or they didn't assist to a conversion. 15% is not that big of a deal, but $39,000, that's not so good. So something needs to be done in this account as well. Now, there are 4,000 active keywords in this account. Out of those 4,000, 33% have impressions. So there are 2,600 keywords that don't have impressions. They are in waiting mode. What that means is that TenScores is giving them time to prove themselves. So they're not going to be flagged yet, but eventually, once enough time has passed, they will be flagged. And you will see a button here that says, hey, go check it out. 23% of them have clicks, and 8% have conversions, and only 7% are profitable keywords. And I'm going to walk you through all the sections. This here is the equivalent almost as what you see in this section. This is the menu, just lets you access all the info, and it's pretty straightforward. New keywords, that means keywords to promote, duplicates, negatives, better bids, no impressions. Actually, I'm going to go in each section one by one, but now let's keep on the overview here. So let's start with the new keywords area. What does it do? So I'm pretty sure 100% that your way of researching new keywords in an account that's already running, what you do is go look at your search terms reports or search queries report and look at these terms that are actually being triggered by your keywords. Pick the good ones, create new ad groups for them, pick the negative ones and put them in their negative keyword list. This is what the new keyword section allows you to do, at least for the new keywords. And what it does is take all the search terms, see which ones have conversions, have good metrics, and with our restructuring algorithm, put them together in already well-structured ad groups. Sometimes the search query needs to go in its own ad group with other keywords, or it needs to go in an existing ad group. So this process of figuring out what to put a new search term is already done for you. You don't have to think about it anymore. All you have to do is just come look at your new ad group. So let's say, okay, here's a good one. We've got 2 keywords in this ad group and they look good to be added into the account. So all I will do is simply approve. And there we go. I have my new ad group. It's not published yet. I'm just picking and choosing the ones that I like. Here's another one that I think I'm going to approve. So I'm going to approve this one. Let me take a look. Maybe one that is not that great. Okay, this one is not that great. So I'm going to reject it. This way I don't see it anymore. The best thing is to go through as many of them as you can, and when I'm happy with the work that I've done, then save and start the publishing process. And I want to show you how easy it is. Like one of the things I said in the beginning is that we don't want you to think about the process too much. We just want to give you the recommendation, and then you can go through them and publish them if you're happy with them. So these are the ad groups, and the interface here is very similar to the restructuring phase, and I can see, my ad groups are here. See, everything looks good. So 2 ads, one taken from the best, one being the best ad found, and then the second ad being the exact same as the first, but with dynamic keyword insertion. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of a lazy approach, but it's good enough. Remember, when you're going to be working on your ads, you work on them in the ad creation and pausing feature, and you always prioritize what you're working on. When you're happy, same thing again, you can confirm and publish or export to a CSV. For this section, for the new ad groups, sometimes for new accounts, so it starts with the search terms report, but if there's no data in the search terms report, especially, for new account, you don't really know, there isn't much data going on. What it's going to do is it's going to go to the keyword planner and look for keywords that are similar to your currently active keywords in the account. Okay, so this section should always have some data, either from the search terms report or the keyword management. This here is, I really like this because it doesn't, it takes the guesswork out of the way, and I know that it's really time consuming to go dig deep into the search terms and add new keywords. Even though Google kind of does it for you, you still have to figure out which ad group to put them in so that you have proper structure. Remember the intent behind the keyword, because without proper structure, then your ads are going to be mismatched and your quality score is going to start dropping because your CTR is below average. So this here allows you to always have good structure when you add new ad groups to your account. Now, the duplicates. The duplicates issue, and you have a quick overview showing how much money you've wasted because of duplicates. So the duplicates, there are 2 kinds of duplicates. The first kind of duplicate is created by match types, and especially close variants. So you know that exact match is no longer exact. It used to be, but now it's not. So Google shows your ads to keywords that really close variation to the keywords that you have. And what ends up happening is that a search term can be triggered by multiple ad groups. So you've created your ad groups, you've created your gray structure, and you think that this keyword is going to trigger the search term and this other one is going to trigger the search term. And what may end up happening is search terms being triggered by more than one keyword. So what happens is duplication for search terms. And TensScores shows it to you immediately. So we have here a duplicate, and we show you the original ad group, keywords triggered that was triggered by the search term. Sorry, I forgot to show. So this is the search term that is above, where in the ad group where it was found, there are 2 ad groups. So the first one is this one, and the second one is this one. And then we give you metrics for that search terms in each of those ad groups, and you can decide where you want to keep it. There is a decision that has already been made for you, and this is the winner by cost per conversion. So when it was found in this ad group, we've seen that it's got a better cost per conversion. And in this case, the difference is quite huge, 52 versus 221. So what's going to be, if you approve this recommendation, what's going to happen is that in this ad group where it was found, it's going to be added as a negative keyword to stop the duplication from occurring. And the process is the same, you just approve and then you publish. So that's the first kind of duplication. The second kind of duplication is a straightforward one where you have 2 keywords in separate ad groups that are identical, and those keywords are also being pretty much conflicting with other keywords because there's more than one time the same keyword in the campaign. I don't know why it's taking me so much to explain this. This one is the easier one to explain. So you pretty much have the same keywords all over the place, okay? So sometimes you may have different campaigns with the same keywords targeting different locations, for example. So when that happens, it detects that those are not duplicates. So if you have the same keywords but targeting different locations, duplications, those are not considered duplicates. Duplicates are the ones that are conflicting between each other. So you have the same keyword in many different ad groups, then they are going to appear here in the duplicates. Now I go to the negatives. So the negative keywords here, there are a few types of negatives. So the first type is if you have keywords. Each section, by the way, has a short introduction, so you can read the intro just to understand where the data comes from. The negative keywords, we look at keyword performance and any search terms that are keyword that are performing really poorly in terms of cost per conversion, they are going to be shown in this section, as well as n-grams. So we take a look at all your keywords, and if we spot words that appear multiple times and that are associated with bad performance, then they are going to show up here in the negatives. Now, there is one thing I do have to stress is to take the data with a grain of salt, because this is just a tool. It doesn't have all the data about your business as you have, So sometimes you may see some keywords that are suggested as negatives, even though they are good keywords, but it's because the performance is really bad and the tool is wondering why you still advertising on that keyword with 0 conversions, for example. So in those cases, what you do is you take notice and you go to the Google Ads account and figure out whether the keyword really is relevant, whether you want to keep advertising on it. And some cases, you just want to pause the keyword and not add them as a negative. So in this here, this is the most recent tool that we've built, and we're going to be improving each and every section as we go. Some of them are still a little bit too simplistic in the options that we provide, like just approve and reject. Sometimes what you want to do is a little bit different, okay? But at least here you have the information and you can take a deeper look and decide what you want to do. Now, the better bid section, this is for anybody who's using manual CPC, okay? If you're using automated bidding, then this section is not very useful to you. If you're using one manual CPC bidding, well, the tool is going to tell you which bid for each keyword or for each ad group is optimal, given a max CPA that is estimated by the tool. For those of you who have watched Google Chief Economist video, he's got a video in which he explains the best way to bid on your keywords. So this is really from inside. The person who actually created the algorithm behind the AdWords auction, he's got a video online. You can look for him. His name is Halvarian. I really suggest that you take a look. And he explained exactly how you find the optimal bid for your keywords. What we did with this section is that we took his process and we turned it into an automated tool that shows you the bid for all your keywords. And the process goes like this. There is another tool in Google Ads. Most people haven't even seen it actually. It's called Bid Optimizer, and it estimates the number of impressions and clicks that you will get at a certain bid. So you have levels of bids. So we have an example here actually. So the data that is taken by this section here is from the bid simulator. It's called the bid simulator, sorry, not the bid optimizer. So the bid simulator looks at different bids that you could have and tells you how many clicks you could have. And so from those, TenScores is going to estimate what will be the most profitable bid given a max CPA that is estimated by TensCores. You can edit it. So you have a campaign and you know what your max CPA is. Quick definition, the max CPA is the maximum amount you're willing to pay for a conversion. So what is the maximum amount that you're willing to pay for a conversion, at which point above it you will be losing money? So you need to know that number, as it's really important. We estimated for you with the statistical model. This is my team here, my co-founder actually created the statistical model, so I can't really tell you exactly how it works, but it looks at all your conversions and all your cost per conversions and goes to the higher end of your conversions and takes somewhere in the middle, somewhere, I don't remember how it's called actually, but pretty much your highest converting keywords, it's around that range, because we believe, okay, if you have keywords that are costing you, let's say $50 and others that are costing you $350, then okay, there might be something there. But it's not perfect, but you have the ability to change it. And when you change it, you just have to wait for a day for the new data to come in, but you can change it and have better data. So this is the curve that you get. So at each bid, you can see the profit. And I'm not going to get into too much detail because it will take me another hour to explain, but I will suggest you look for Halvarian Google Ads or AdWords in YouTube, and you will see the video that explains the entire process, and this whole table will be very clear to you, as well as what this ICC means. It's quite complicated, to be honest with you. What I just suggest is, okay, take a look at the bids. If they make sense, apply them, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so let me cancel this one. Let's go to those four sections are the most important. The other ones are pretty much straightforward. If you have keywords that don't have any impressions for a very long time, they will appear here. Most of them are given, I believe, 30 days to prove themselves. After 30 days, they will show up. Keywords with no clicks will appear here. You know, keywords that don't have any clicks and they've been there for a very long time. And so these are keywords that have impressions and don't have any clicks. Now, these ones are really important because they drive down your quality score, because that's a big factor. The CTR is not good, and so Google isn't gonna like that. And we show you some of the data. If they still have a good quality score, you can give them more time, but usually you might want to pause them or go change the ads. So again, as I said, this is the newest section that we've built. So along with the recommendation, there are some other things that you might want to do. For example, here, we probably should be showing you the ads that are appearing with that keyword, and maybe you might want to change the ads instead of pausing the keyword. But at least you have the information. That's what's most important. So you have the info, and you can take a look at it and know that those keywords are there and that you need to do something about them. Same thing with the no conversions. So these are keywords that have clicks but don't have any conversions. And of course, again, they don't have any conversions after having spent money above the estimated max CPA. And you can change this here to get the value. This is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go too deep into it. And the no profit, same thing, always related to the max CPA, so the maximum amount you're willing to pay for conversion. Anything that is above this estimated CPA is going to show up here. Again, you have the data, it's up to you to decide. Just for this section here, you will have a better idea of what you need to do with the keywords, and eventually we are going to be adding better actions to do and a better way to deal with these actually. Ideally, probably the first step that we're going to have is when you set up a TenScores account, we're going to be letting you actually put your actual max CPA so that you have much more accurate data. But that's going to come as we get along. You know, we keep improving the tool, and with your feedback as well, we're going to be adding new features as time goes by. I think that's pretty much it for the keyword management section. It's really important that you always keep an eye on what's going on. And sometimes some things are more important than others. Quality score, if it's bad, focus on quality score. If you have good quality score, then manage your keywords properly. In that case, you just have to improve, keep adding, because they're going to keep appearing. Keep adding keywords, make sure that you don't have any keywords that are sleeping around, doing nothing. And if you just keep using the tool and keep going through the recommendations, slowly by slowly, you will start to see results. Now, if you're having trouble, if you don't see results, there is always this little chat feature here. I'm always hanging around, and you can just ask for some help. And sometimes I reply really quick. Sometimes it takes me a bit of time because I'm busy and it takes more days. Usually I like to be the one to reply because I want to be really close to customers and understand their needs. We used to have support, especially helping out, but it's not that easy to really provide the correct guidance. Eventually, I'm going to be training more people so that they can come in and do the support. But for now, I'm the one you will be actually talking to. Unless you're seeing this video after many years, then you'll probably be speaking to somebody else in the chat. But in any case, my email is chris@tenscores.com. I'm happy to talk to any customers. Most of our customers, they know this. You can always reach out via email and ask your questions if something wasn't clear, or if you need guidance, or if you're not getting results. Actually, that's more important. If you're not getting results, I want to know about it, because it helps me understand what's missing in the tool, so that we can add it. Of course, it's not complete. There is a lot of things that we're going to be adding. So now let me tell you a little bit about the background behind TensScores. A while back, I used to be a consultant, and I had gotten good at optimizing quality score. And that's what I did pretty much on a daily basis. I used to use spreadsheets a lot, and a friend of mine moved in with me. And lo and behold, he actually knew how to code. One day he saw me playing with my spreadsheets and he was like, Chris, why don't I help you with what you're doing? I can actually code, so tell me what you need and let's see what I can do for you. So I showed him that I was tracking my quality scores on a daily basis because I needed to record my progress and I needed to show it to customers. And overnight, he built a small tool that was allowing me to track my quality score. At the time, there wasn't any, you couldn't see any historical value when it came to quality score. So from there, we shared it online because we thought we were onto something, and people were interested and they started signing up. It was first a free tool, and then it became paid. People kept on asking for more, and it started with a quality score focused tool. And that is why you can see here, it's still very quality score focused. But what we want to build is a tool that assists you in the entire process of managing Google Ads account, and ultimately it will do the work for you. It will be like your personal assistant where you just take a look at what it has done for you, and you can undo if you see something that isn't done correctly, but it will be doing everything for you. So we are still far from getting there, but that's where we want to get to. What's remaining, campaign creation, like automatic ad rotation, winners and losers that are automatically paused and new ads activated for you, things of that sort. Probably I'll leave those for another video, but if we get on the call, I will probably tell you a little bit more about the direction of TensScores. So let me go in depth. In the restructuring feature, there are a few settings that I went through quickly, and those settings are quite important. So what I want to do is go back and actually explain a bit about this campaign. So the single match type ad groups and the single keyword ad groups, what are they? Let me start with the single match type ad groups. So the structure by match type is that each and every ad group only has keywords of a certain match type. So when you use that structure type, you will have ad groups for exact match, you will have ad groups for broad match, and you will have ad groups for modified broad, or whatever match type you have actually chosen. This structure type prevents any kind of duplication happening. Why? Because we add negatives of the missing match type in the ad group. So let's say here we have an ad group with broad keywords, broad match keywords. In that ad group will be added negative match types of the same keyword but as phrase and exact. This is a really good structure type for people who have seen too many duplication and all they want is the keyword that they have to trigger the search terms that they want. And I can actually tell you as well, it used to be true a few years ago. I'm not sure that it's still true. We used to have a lot of customers use this structure type and it will result in much better gains in quality score. It's not for everybody and you shouldn't use it all the time. The way to look at it is if you have ad groups that are suffering from a quality score problem and you also know that you have a lot of duplication, you can try this structure type as a test. So you take an ad group, but we structure by match type, and you see what happens after a few days. If it works out, you keep doing it. If it doesn't work out, then you go back to the old ways. I would recommend you to use it only as a testing tool set in your toolbox. Just try it out, see if it works out. And you can do it in one campaign or other campaigns. And if you have many accounts, then you just use it and see what happens, because it can give you great results right out the bat, but not always. And then the rest of the steps is pretty much the same. The most important thing about this structure type is the negative keywords that are added to each ad group, okay, to prevent any kind of duplication or any kind of conflicts between the keywords in the ad groups. And then the very famous single keyword ad groups, let's talk about them a little bit. So a lot of people like this kind of structure, which is fine. So what it is you put just one keyword in each ad group, and that keyword comes in its different match types, but it's just one keyword per ad group. I mean, when you want to have the highest relevancy for your ads, this is the structure type to go. I don't use it that much because I prefer my intent to be the basis for my structure. So if 2 or 3 keywords can go in the same ad group, I prefer to have them in the same ad group. This way, I don't have complication. I don't have a campaign with too many ad groups, because already restructuring your campaigns is already going to result in many ad groups. If you also go with single keywords, then you're unnecessarily adding complexity to the account, and most accounts don't need to go that far. However, I advise you to go try it out. So here's the thing, the account that I showed you that has a 10 out of 10 quality score close is actually structured by single keyword ad groups. And it's fine because it's only got like what, 15 keywords, 20 keywords. It's a very small account. For those types of accounts, it's fine. You know, if you only have like 20 ad groups, it's fine. I think I've gone through everything. I hope this was really useful. I've tried to go through all the features. I don't know if I have forgotten anything, but please send me your feedback. Again, the chat feature here, use it. My email, chris@tenscores.com. And that's pretty much it.